Hello and welcome friends to a new episode of our narrative-driven Total War Warhammer campaign playing as Aranessa Saltspite and the Sartosan pirates in the Old World mod. Now before we recap the previous episode and before we continue this campaign, I do want to apologize on my end for releasing this episode so late because admittedly I have been very much immersed into making YouTube shorts related to Total War Warhammer, be it guides, ideas for reworks, or just overall lore. That has been taking up a lot of my time, but because I have scheduled several videos about a month in advance, and I know that does seem a lot, I do have some free time to dedicate back into doing these longer Let's Play videos, so please do let me know your honest thoughts and opinions in the comments if you would love to see more YouTube shorts from me, or if you would love to see more of these longer episodes. And as always, please do be honest in the comments too on ways that I can improve these Let's Play videos or my shorter form videos too, whether it's my commentary, battle strategies, or just overall gameplay. Alright, with that housekeeping out of the way, let's recap what happened in the previous episode and what our plans are for this episode of the campaign. So previously, we did have to secure and protect Sartosa from our starting enemies, which are these minor tomb kings of the Vulture fleet. They're not going to be too much of a threat to us, even though they do have an island base just off the northern coast of Sartosa. We did take Bafardo from them, and Sartosa itself is going to be a pretty defensible area to protect. And also, I know it does seem pretty funky with the UI, but we were able to upgrade some of our infrastructure for Sartosa here. We'll just click on over there. So I did get the Scurvy Dog Pits mainly for the control boost, and also I could gain the Tree and Noose for more control and growth, but I am trying to save up some money for now, or to shore up some money to buy extra units for Sartosa's main force too. And as you can see here, Nanu Sartosa Overhaul mod does add a lot of new mortal units to Aranessa's army, and the theme that I'm going for with this campaign is to mostly stick to these mortal units like dwarves, actual living humans. We still have access to undead and zombie units, but I'm going to try to refrain from using them unless I use the raised dead mechanic, just because I do want to make this as lore friendly to Aranessa as possible. It is pretty interesting, the basic military chain building here of the Sartosan mercenary station and tavern, that we do get feral bastillodons and even a feral carnosaur, but please do let me know, friends, in the comments if you think that this is lore friendly too. I was kind of baffled that Bretonnian knights are available to her at the highest chain of this building too. Taking a look at Aranessa's main army, I'm very much excited to use it in future battles just because we do have a considerable amount of heroes like this dwarf powder cook, who's going to be a support specialist for our ranged units, especially our Sartosan free handgunners. He will be able to replenish their ammunition and also buff their damage output. Speaking of damage output, I'm very much looking forward to this special unit of Sartosan pirates too, just because I am using a mod that grants Regiment of Renown stats and bonuses to units that do considerable amount of work in battle. So this unit here has been renamed the Pirate Queen Scurvy Defiler. So we do have powder reserves, ammunition plus 10%, increased missile strength, armor piercing missiles, and increased range as well. I do want to utilize them as much as I can in combat, but also I do want to try to protect them as best as possible. So they're going to be our semi-skirmishers, and also we do have some questing knights and also a feral carnosaur that will surprisingly act as cavalry. You wouldn't think that cavalry or vampire counts using it, or vampire coast using cavalry would be a thing. But that's what I do love about Nanu Sartosa Overhaul, is just adding more features to her faction to make it way more interesting. We also do have some interesting world events here. Dread Omens, essentially that makes it so that other Vampire Coast factions that are very unfriendly with us, and that did actually force Noctilus to declare war on us, even though we were generally neutral to each other. But also, we do have several other features here. I do have a mod that allows other factions to use bounties. Well, the factions that the player picks, I figured that the bounty mod would go hand in hand with Sartosa, as also with this campaign. I do want to play Sartosa as a true neutral faction because of the fact that in the lore, she is kind of on that line where she's not necessarily order tied and definitely not rooting for chaos either. So whoever gives us the most bang for our buck or the most rewards, then we'll take on several contracts for them. And also, we do have this convoy mechanic mod that allows the Vampire Coast to send convoys around the world either for gold or to gain infamy. I am not going to do that right now just because I am gonna be honest, I do not feel confident sending convoys out with Noctilus declaring war on us and other Vampire Coast factions potentially ambushing that convoy. But later on in the campaign for those episodes, I might consider releasing some to gain some extra infamy for us. Now, before we hit the end turn, in terms of Aranessa's horde building mechanic, I am mostly focusing on infrastructure for now, such as the increased campaign movement range, and especially the upkeep costs as well, because those questing knights and carnosaurs do cost quite a bit. I admittedly did buy the building chain of the mercenary tent because I do eventually want access to several of these units here, especially I think thematically man-eater pirate ogres would be very fitting for her army and give us some extra beefy front lines too. Plus also Oregon guns down the line will very much help in siege battles. We are also at war with Lucini here, which I also added a mod for Kataf's Southern Realms, which this is going to be a very good challenge for us too, because they do essentially have Empire style units, but also because they're their own modded faction, they have their own legendary lords, and we are playing on very hard battle difficulty, very hard campaign difficulty, so their recruitment is getting very high at the moment. It looks like they have 2 armies here. This minor army is going to be recruiting, so we're going to face a considerable force once we launch an attack on Mintopua, but also I do have another weapon up my sleeve, which it is another mod I'm using that allows Aranessa to bribe enemy forces over to her side. Will I use it often? Perhaps not, just because of the fact that I did try to use it in tandem off video with keeping seduced units, and yes, it is essentially the Slanesh seduction mechanic, but that bribery mechanic I think I'll only use in emergency situations. It does not work in tandem with keep seduced units mod. It might be the 2 mods conflicting with each other, or it might just be that keep seduced units doesn't work specifically with old world, but we'll just save that for next time, where I'll try to tweak around with it off video. Alright friends, welcome to the Battle of Mintopua, which I believe will be an easy shoe-in for us, and admittedly I did recruit some gunnery mob, zombies, and also some handgunners, just because I will be using them as cannon fodder in this battle, and will try to preserve the rest of my actual main living forces. I also do have some fellbats, but also that's not going to be my main concern. I am partially concerned about this minor army here by Guido Fausti, and also there's an army here led by Lorenzo Lupo, or the main legendary lord for Lucini. There actually is 2 Lucini factions at the moment in this mod here. I'm not sure if it was just so. I believe it's also Kataf's mod, and also there's another mod on top of that that adds another legendary lord to Lucini. So there's 2 different Lucinis there, kind of allied with each other in trade, but also not militarily, or else that would be a very big disaster for us. But let's see here. This bounty contract. Alright, it looks like Lucini wants someone to attack Al Dente. Great name, by the way. Which is also owned by the Vulture Fleet, Tomb Kings. We might attack that later, but also I do want to My goal for this campaign is to take out Lucini early in the campaign or make them my puppet state and vassalize them, which also I'm not going to worry about them rising up against me as a vassal just because our units do mostly outclass them, but also I do need to be very much on top of it when it comes to fighting against their forces and using both my mortal range units and also zombie units as fodder. So so I will fight this battle manually just because I do want to try to micromanage as much as possible. We also are using the war standard of corpse surgeons, which gives melee defense to our unit and also regeneration, which is going to be very useful for our Carnosaur here. Welcome to the battlefield, my friends. We do have a very unconventional battle formation here with Aranessa and our Ogre as makeshift frontline units. The rest of our heroes will be supporting our Sartosan gunners. Giant here will be our makeshift cannon. And also we do have some secret weapons here with our Sartosan pirates with dual swords and Calamity of the Deep monsters in Vanguard deployment too. I'm also going to be using our bats in reserve in case those crossbowmen get really pesky. I'm also going to be using our Sartosan pirates on the flank here, so micromanaging will need to be very heavy on my end, and I'll try to use my questing knights as well to get a charge in on those crossbowmen. I should actually position them here just to get a nice downward hill charge. And I'm going to try to divide their forces or to confuse them as well, because I will be sending our zombie gunnery mobs in also as cannon fodder and makeshift frontline units, and they're going to dish out some respectable damage too. And I am using a mod that does make them armored. I do admittedly love this mod just because it does represent the zombies very well as actual undead units from different factions. Plus, it's, yes, admittedly, my immersion. But other than the banter, let's get the battle started. I do want to use our Sartosan forces first and foremost. And I'm going to try to get as many close cinematic shots as possible. I know I said I'm going to try to micromanage, so I might be zooming in and out. Please do let me know if you guys would love to see more up close and personal shots as well. Alright, let's send you up here. I think I'll send the Carnosaur as well, just because the Carnosaur does have regeneration. Okay, get those bats out of range. Don't want... Ooh, okay. Taking a little bit of considerable damage there. Okay, let's have you separate. You keep charging in there. Alright, Carnosaur. Rip them apart. Okay, we got their attention now. Let's actually do a tactical retreat. Okay, let's have our forces charge there. Alright, good devastation. Yeah, no, a combination of Carnosaur and also Bretonnia Knights charging you, not a good look. Okay, our Sartosan pirates are probably going to be in trouble here. Alright, send Aranessa in to take care of those guys. Okay, zombies are faring surprisingly well with supportive fire from our Sartosan gunners. Okay, Bretonnia Knights also doing quite a bit of work. Okay, let's have you guys support our Sartosan pirates there. Yeah, they're getting chased down pretty badly. Let's actually have you guys reposition while the Knights and Carnosaur get a good charge in. Ooh, pretty devastating. Okay, good supporting charge from the Knight. It looked like our Carnosaur was stifled there for a minute. Alright, let's charge out of there, you guys. Start storming down there. You guys charge into those pikemen. And yeah, our forces are very much safe. Let's send our zombie pirates in to support our Sartosan gunners. Alright, knights recharge into those half pikes. Ooh, a good massive downhill charge there. Solid, devastating victory from our forces, and we got a few good cinematic shots in. I know I was micromanaging a lot during that battle, but not even our zombie mob took really any damage whatsoever. Alright, we'll end the battle there. Pretty much a shoo-in, like I said. Now, despite that being an overwhelming victory, zero losses whatsoever, too. Alright. And like I said, we are playing on very hard battle difficulty and campaign difficulty. Loss of 510 forces for that settlement garrison. Granted, it's just a settlement garrison, but I am going to use the end turn to try to recruit some extra forces to Aranessa's main army. Just because I know the actual main army for Lucini is hiding either at their capital or somewhere in the field, and also I do need to take out their minor army. And that's my plan for the rest of this episode. After the end turn, I do want to fight either their main army, which is going to be very hard for us just because of the fact that they have some unique units that I might try to bribe over to us, or I'm going to try to insta-recruit some zombie units to take care of those forces for us, or end the episode by hunting down one of their minor armies that we saw when I made Shipfall. As always, friends, please do be brutally honest in the comments on ways that I could improve my battle tactics or different ways that I can get cinematic shots for you guys to enjoy, because at the end of the day, I want you guys to either enjoy watching these battles or to have it on as fun white noise in the background. One personal critique I will give myself for future battles is to improve on my micromanaging, specifically with gunner units like the Sartosan pirates. Those spearmen and pikemen did get a little bit too close for comfort for me that I had to send in my Carnosaur at the last second. So just making sure that I have the distance right on their firing, and also keeping them out of range from other enemy range units, or also from melee infantry like those pikemen closing the distance on us. And yes, those pikemen, while not as devastating as other melee infantry units, because this is the Kataf's Southern Realms mod, there are some buffs to their melee attack with them as well. It is supposed to replicate pike and shot tactics from the older Total War games, so it's going to... They do have some potential of actually dishing out damage to our unit. Alright, my friends, after that resounding victory, we can't rest too easily because Lorenzo Lupo, the main lord for Lucini, is going to be a threat to us. He is bringing a lot of crossbowmen, which we need to be prepared for. Nearly a full stack, plus also he does have this minor army that he's recruiting into as well. Over the end turn, I do believe he's going to get to a full 20 units, and then Guido here is going to add additional units to his army too. So, in order to counter that, we are going to recruit some free handgunners from Aranessa specifically. Actually, I think not just free handgunners, but also I do want to recruit some Sartosan pirates to act as flankers and also to harass their melee infantry. But also at the same time, I do need to be careful with their Knights of More as well. Although I think my cavalry, my questing knights and Carnosaur, both of those should be able to take out their Knights of More. I just don't need him recruiting another cavalry unit into his army. Okay, and then we do have one more slot, which I think I'll use for the detonation ship. And then unfortunately, I think I'll need to get rid of... Yeah, I think I'll have to get rid of these Sartosan pirates because they haven't even if I do use them as makeshift frontline forces, they aren't exactly the best. And they will melt like butter too against the more armored Lucini forces. That does free up an army slot for us. Alright, let's get that detonation ship. So those two detonation ships, ideally I do want to send them and kamikaze them into the Pavese crossbowmen and a couple of these crossbowmen as well. If I just use them to devastate their front lines, then even better too.
The winds blow true.
And yeah, we do have some makeshift frontline units with our heroes, plus also our gunnery mob as well. I think I'll also recruit a second lord here. That is definitely going to dip into our funds, unfortunately. Sartosan admiral, loyalty from defeating enemy army and wounding and killing an enemy lord. Extra loyalty following a battle. Murderer, I think I might choose murderer. Sacking and raiding. Alright, loyalty 1 to 6. Loyalty 5 to 10. I think I do need to play it safe and just recruit this one here. Connor is going to have access to some zombie units, and Loaded Corpse is going to be one of my go-tos in the coming battles, just because I do need to send some kamikaze units into their devastating forces. I wouldn't even mind sending them to devastate the Knights of War, meaning our cavalry will be able to have free reign over the battlefield as well. This Master Duelist may be an issue as well, but I think I'll send my Ogre, and also being supported by our Gunnery White to take care of them.
Absolutely not.
Alright, and then we do have some technology researched here with the Gunnery crews. Let's see here. Ammunition would be nice. I don't want to get anything for our cannons just yet, just because we do not have them at the moment, but eventually down the line. Alright, let's see. Master Gunner, not at the moment yet. Alright, ammunition I think is going to be key here for us. 15% cannot be passed up. 8 turns is going to be a bit of a wait, but also, let's see, predicted income 783. That is definitely going to decrease with these units that we are going to recruit into our army. But also, we do have enough funds that we'll be able to maintain it for a while. Okay, let's see here. And yes, like I mentioned before, there are 2 types of different Lucinis here. And you can see that in the diplomacy map as well. Like I said, it could be Kataf's Southern Realms, and also I am using another mod that adds an additional lord for Lucini, but with his own separate faction. So we do have... Okay, well, we have 2 Lorenzo Lupos. I'm actually surprised they're not at war with each other in terms of who is the actual real Lucini. It's kind of like that Spider-Man meme where it's both of them pointing at each other. Now, before we hit the end turn button, I do want to upgrade Aranessa's cabin, just because the minus upkeep is going to really help us out in the long run and even early game as well. So let's get that going for her. And I know that's going to be pricey, but like I said, we do have enough savings in the early game that we can afford it. Plus also, it's going to really help boost our predicted income, especially because we are now officially out of full stack and we do have a second minor army going. I am going to use Connor as a distraction force, so Aranessa will be able to ambush Guido or Lucini going after him. Alright, let's take a look at some skills that we can give our forces here. Enhanced ballistics. Alright, accuracy and reload skill. That's going to help out a lot with our main army. Alright, let's see here. This is for our ogre. Melee attack, weapon strength. Health points would be tempting too. Alright, I think at the moment we'll just do Master Strike at the moment. And then, let's see, Giant. Let's give you Enhanced Ballistics as well. More support for our overall army. Alright, on our Dwarf Powder Cook. Powder Keg for sure. Building upgrade, let's see here. Fardo and Sartosa, I do not want to use the money just yet for that infrastructure. And then also it does look like control is very much stabilizing thanks to a lot of our in-place infrastructures at Sartosa. I do not want to have to deal with a rebellion on our fortress island while we're at war with Lucini. But we'll hit the end turn now. There's nothing really much I can do for diplomacy. So change of plans, I am ending the episode here because as I hit the end turn, the game did crash on me. However, the autosave did actually save. So I will be starting the next episode right at that point too. And at the start of that episode, we'll more than likely be fighting Lorenzo Lupo and the main Lucini force. But as I'm ending here, please do let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have played with Nanu Sartosa Overhaul mod or what other modded factions you would love to recommend to me. I do want this channel to have my longer videos be focused on Let's Plays and showcases of different factions. And also, speaking of my longer videos, please do let me know in the comments some things that you would love to see, such as rework ideas. I know I did make rework ideas for the Tomb Kings in a previous video, but also if you guys would rather see more Let's Plays and narrative campaigns, please do let me know in the comments below if you would prefer that over rework idea videos. But also at the end of the day, I do want this channel to be a discussion point for all of us to talk about ways that Total War Warhammer can be improved. And also later on, I will be diving more into other Total War games and different strategy games. And regardless if you're a new or returning viewer, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, for commenting, and also for giving me the time of your day. Until then, friends, I'll save you a seat at the table for the next adventure.